Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efene, Great Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria, Tundu, MK Abiola.
Morning, Mr. Efene.
Yes. Let's start.
Well, I won't give you a color test today.
No.
Because this one is very obvious.
I'm not even ready for that. I have very serious matters to deal with here.
Okay.
Yes.
Action. Action.
Let's start with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story, Jonathan, inability to manage Nigeria's diversity cause of growing tensions, calls for equity in distribution of key political posts, seeks incorporation of security chief's position in the federal character document. Now, that lead story, the story itself, and the angle from which this day is reporting, it tells you that Jonathan does not agree with the President Muhammadu Buhari, that he has been fair in political appointment and distribution of amenities. But again, there are other aspects of the story. Tundu, you have looked at where he referred to the Southwest, that no other area in the country has been able to balance religion and government except the Southwest. Where Ruben Abati, the alumnus of Aso Villa, you wax lyrical, pouring encomiums upon encomiums on your former boss. Now, I want to look at this story from the angle, from the theme of the lecture, Redefining Democracy, Yearnings of the Minority in a Democratic Setting. And according to Jonathan, the report states, in Nigeria, the complications associated with the marginalization of minority groups and tribes were identified many years ago, and efforts have been made across generations to solve the problems, including the Willings Commission set up during the colonial era. Now, when you talk about marginalizing the minorities, the Niger Delta indigenous citizens, we also try to put the Jonathan era under the microscope. What did he do for the Niger Delta as president? 10 lanes to Abuja Airport, no lane to Port Harcourt International Airport. Stella Odua, Minister of Aviation, building airports all over the place. None in Bayelsa. The long-suffering people of Bayelsa had to use their own money to build airports, which I'm sure former President Jonathan will also use. And these are questions. Only recently, our reporter, Vietimi George, did a story on Oloibiri, the first oil well was discovered. And he mentioned Shagari came there, former President Shagari came there, he laid the foundation, nothing happened. President Obasanjo came, laid the foundation for a petroleum institute. It ended at the level of the foundation. And I asked our correspondent, when your brother, the Ogbia man, because Oloibiri is part of Ogbia land, was there, did he remember? Did he do something for Oloibiri? So the marginalization of the Niger Delta, we'll say, also continued during the era of our son. But we are happy that he's a statesman, nationally and internationally. But we know how he ended that stripe, by conceding defeats, which in this climb seem to be unusual. But again, even at the international level, we know that that act in itself is unusual. If you recall that only recently, a certain Mr. Donald Trump refused to concede after being roundly defeated in the US presidential election. I'll just move on to other stories. before Ruben will come with his right of reply.
You are looking for trouble, but go ahead.
Now, the Vanguard newspaper, federal government defiant as ECOWAS court stops prosecution of users. Interference with Twitter violates human rights. ECOWAS court. Multinationals can't dictate to us. Lai Mohammed announces government team to meet Twitter, alleges Twitter helped crowdfund NSAS protest, says other OTTs face suspension if cautions against using VPN, even when some ministers are known to have used VPN. Reps probe circumstances of suspension, ban will bet harvest of misinformation, Varsity Dawn. Federal government Twitter proposed dialogue, medicine after death, tech experts. Now, other newspapers are also reporting this story. The Guardian, Nigeria's The Guardian newspaper, Twitter's operation illegal despite ECOWAS court ruling. Federal government insists. Nigerian Tribune, Lai Mohammed, Pantami Fashola to engage with Twitter over ban. Twitter promoting instability, act of terrorism. Federal government alleges ECOWAS court restrains federal government from prosecuting Nigerians for using Twitter. Of course, the New Telegraph newspaper, federal government shifts, accuses Twitter of promoting terrorism, IPOB. Now, the Daily Times of Nigeria, despite 37 billion naira renovation budget, National Assembly roof leaks. Now, yesterday, the National Assembly, the Senate had to scamper when the rain started. And, of course, if this were to be another agency of government that spent 37 billion on renovation, and we have this, I'm sure there will be a motion of urgent national importance on the floor. So I hope the Senate and the House of Representatives, they will do self-introspection and examine how I haven't spent this much to renovate. The house is leaking on their heads. Now, the Punch newspaper, federal government disobeys own law, flouts workers' pension remittance. 122,543 retirees have less than 550,000 naira in their RSA balance, says PENCOM. Payment shortfall, inflation, double stroke for workers. Ex-TUC president is silly. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, fuel subsidy bribe. 9 years after court sent Farouk Lawan to Kuje prison. Yes, it took 9 years for the wheel of justice, which lawyers say grinds slowly but surely. And Farouk Lawan, the petite giant, once in the House of Representatives, at the peak of his power, he was the leader of a group called the Integrity Group. So much for integrity. Yes, he took bribe from Femi Otedola, billionaire. When he asked for that, well, the billionaire simply did the needful, called the security agencies, brought in some marked dollars, and Farouk Lawan did the rest. And as they say, the rest is now history. Move on to the foreign newspapers quickly. The Wall Street Journal, EU launches antitrust probe into Google's use of ad tech. Yes, the European Union opened a formal investigation, antitrust investigation, into allegations that Google abuses its leading role in the advertising tech sector. Yes, the EU's top antitrust enforcer will look at an array of allegedly anti-competitive business practices around Alphabet Incorporated, the parent company of Google. And also, the Washington Post reporting voting rights bill is blocked expectedly. The Senate Republicans derails bid of the Democrats to come up with voting rights bill that will have changed a lot and improved voting in the US. Now, the test vote, which will have cleared the way to start the voting legislation, failed 50-50 in a straight party line, 10 votes short of the supermajority needed to advance legislation in the Senate. Ruben Rufai and Tunde.
Well, you always try to put me on the spot, but this morning I'm going to step up to the challenge. First, President Goodluck Jonathan was speaking at a forum, the J.K. Gazama lecture.
Yes.
And the topic was about minorities in Nigeria and what belongs to them. And the general statements made by President Jonathan were about the need for government to respect the rule of law, to respect equity, and to avoid or be sensitive about the politics of difference in Nigeria. And along those lines, he talked about the rights of minorities in Nigeria, a battle that the minorities have been fighting since the 1958-1959 Willings Commission. The process led to the inclusion in the Constitution, 1999 Constitution, Section 14, subsection 3, about federal character. And he was saying that, Nigerian governments have not been sensitive in that regard to recognize that Nigeria belongs to everybody, and that for you to have a good country, you have to carry along the interests of others. Now, you queried his own performance in that regard, and what did he do for the people of the Niger Delta?
Yes.
You will recall that President Jonathan's position was that, look, he was the president of all Nigerians, not of 90%, not of 5%, and that every Nigerian had to be served. I know many of you, feel that he should have focused on the people of the Niger Delta. But this is the same president.
Not just focus, he even neglected us.
Just wait. This is the same president who established new schools, over 150 in the northern part of Nigeria. Those schools were abandoned. The politics of proximity is part of the problem we have in Nigeria. And isn't that what many Nigerians are complaining about at this moment? Saying that the president that is in power is more interested in his own people rather than other Nigerians.
No, that's
President Jonathan is talking, or was talking yesterday, about equity, about justice. And when he said it's only the Southwest that has been able to balance religion and development, he was making a truthful statement.
Yes, I agree.
Look, I always tell Tunu here that as a young man growing up, we used to go to our father's house to go and eat Kabir meat, Ileya meat. We will go from one Muslim house to the other just to go and eat Ileya meat, as it is called, in the southwest part of Nigeria. Nobody would turn us away. She must be a young girl at the time we used to go to our father's house to eat Ileya meat. But everybody will be fed. And we were Christians. So in the southwest, you don't have that kind of radical division that you have in other parts of the country. So if you thought you were calling out President Jonathan, I would like to put it to you,
Ruben,
that the statements he made about equity, justice, rule of law, those statements, in my view, not necessarily for partisan or loyalty reasons.
No, it's not a matter of partisan or loyal. You see, let me give you another instance. Look at the rail line, Kaduna to Abuja to Kaduna, almost completed before he left office. Today, monies have been spent. Following his example, Rotimi Amechi, they've been building rail everywhere, but he's still looking for money, loan, to do that will connect the Niger Delta area, the coastal states. So, when you're talking of marginalization, we see this under our own people.
But when people from the Niger Delta or from anywhere else go to the center, the primary objective is not to go there and serve their own people's purpose. They should be president or leaders of all Nigerians.
I agree with you.
That is the point.
But you cannot serve others and neglect your people. That is a quarrel. Don't you serve others, please others, and neglect your own people? So who do we complain about? Mahdi in Niger Republic will get rail before the Niger Delta.
But I put it to you that there was a lot of development in the Niger Delta under President Jonathan, but we don't have time to provide you the relevant information in that regard.
I have all the information, Ruben.
Well, I also have information as the man in the arena.